amazing sceneries of Arctic fjords, aquamarine sea bays, vast areas of mountain tundra, taiga forests, wetlands and swamps, powerful rivers, and countless lakes. Welcome to Extremely Locust Travels. Norway, from Arctic to Central Europe. During this journey, we'll travel over 10,000 kilometers. We'll spend nights in a tent or in other strange places. We'll admire the most beautiful Norwegian landscapes on the way from Arctic towards Central Europe. We'll try to make an expedition to Scandinavia as cheap as possible. Our journey to one of the most expensive countries in the world started in Krakow, Poland. We crossed two of the most expensive bridges in the world to enter Sweden. And on the second day we reached the border with Norway. Next we drove along famous Route 55 across Sognefjord mountain area. Then we drove further to see mountain ranges around Langvatnet Lake areas. North of Trondheim we entered lands of grey and humid climate. Finally we got to Vesterålen and Lofoten archipelagos, where we could admire amazing landscapes rarely seen here in sunny weather. Next we drove further to see beautiful northern fjords, taiga forests, vast tundra landscapes, and sunsets lasting for hours. Finally we have reached North Cape. During the expedition, we organized our accommodation in 3 mountain huts and used by locals ferry lounges or in a tent. Now it's time to go back home to Central Europe. Chapter 21. Time to leave the Arctic Circle. Our journey beyond the Arctic Circle has already lasted for 20 days. Time to go back towards Central Europe. On the way we have found a nice open-air museum village, Bardubuktetu. You can find here traditional Norwegian houses with grass roofs. Most of the buildings were built in 1860s. In the yard you can find, among others, a farm, barn, stable, schoolroom, and other buildings. We're going further southwest. Whenever possible, we enjoy the northern fjord sceneries. From Lodingen we take a ferry to Bognes, and we find a camping place around Drag village. The next day welcomes us with a wet and rainy scenery. The weather makes it impossible to explore the nearby surroundings, so we keep going further. Now we're going along the most popular E6 route towards Arctic Circle Center. E6 is the longest road in Norway and the only road across the whole country. In some northern places it can look like a small local road, but the further south we go, the more lanes are available. Around the village of Lansdal, we came across beautiful views of the Lone Selva River. Let's have a look at its powerful and crystal clear waters. In the area nearby, you can find cottages built in a traditional way. Because of harsh weather conditions, they are mostly used only in summertime. The local flora here is an example of typical vegetation found in Norwegian areas beyond the Arctic Circle. In the higher altitudes in the mountains, the landscapes are dominated by mountain tundra. You can find there mostly mosses and lichens. In the river valleys, tundra gives way to the specific dwarf birch forest. Let's go further along the famous E6 route. Not far away from here, near the main road, there is an Arctic Circle Center. Let's see what it has to offer. This tourist attraction looks like a flying saucer parked over tundra. But its site is only a souvenir shop with shocking prices. It's located at the edge of Saltfjellet National Park. For most people, it's a great place to start short hikes to the tundra. The Arctic Circle Center is built almost exactly on Arctic Circle. In this area, you can watch midnight sun for a short period of time in the beginning of summer. Time to move on further southwest. Today we plan to get to a beautiful Avon lake near the village Lake Vasilia. But to get there we need to bypass road toll point. But thanks to that we can visit places off the beaten track. Some toll points are impossible to be avoided. Finally, we got to Lake Avon. Time to prepare dinner, to scourge some bread, and to enjoy the view. Tonight we'll sleep in a tent. Chapter 22 Norwegian Taiga. We have another morning. Time to explore the nearby surroundings. Now we are south of the Arctic Circle and the landscapes have changed a lot. The local scenery is dominated by wooded areas. The taiga forest. But in Norway, taiga is a very specific land. Vast forests are interspersed with numerous lakes. This is why the landscapes are so unique and beautiful. In a windless weather, the surface of the lake looks like a mirror, reflecting gray clouds and blue sky. Lakes are often decorated with countless small islands. Time's running out quickly. After doing the laundry and after a visit here, it's time to move on further south. The weather here is often bad, but fortunately it doesn't rain all the time. Today we want to get near Trondheim, but there is a long way ahead. The sunny moments give us a chance to enjoy fantastic landscapes of the central part of Norway. Here the vegetation is still represented mostly by vast taiga forests. Short summer season and low sun exposure to the land don't allow the land to be cultivated, but this will change in more southern parts of Norway. Let's enjoy the scenery of natural forests. let's go further south along local roads and then along the main E6 route. The areas near E6 route are surrounded by numerous small lakes. Almost everywhere you stop you can find one. Further south we have finally found third major agricultural lands. The place shown here is located a little bit north of Steinkjer. Cereal fields are a typical view in most European countries, but these particular ones somewhat seem to be prettier than other agricultural lands. This impression may be caused because of getting used to much rougher northern landscapes. Time to go on our way in search for a place to spend the night. On the way, it's mandatory to visit one of very few LPG stations to buy cheap fuel and use the opportunity to eat some cheap fast food. Twilight caught us somewhere around Trondheim, but it's too crowded place to camp. So let's go further from the civilization. Chapter 23: Southeastern Norway. Okay, we have another morning. Time for a breakfast in a specific environment around Stugdalen village. This place wouldn't be very beautiful if it weren't for lots of pink flowers. But the pink scenery changes the perception of this place. Time to go south. Today we're trying to get around Espa village. But now there are some vast open spaces south of Stugdalen village to explore. These are the typical landscapes you can find in the mountains southeast from Trondheim near the border with Sweden. This particular area is situated at an altitude of over 800 meters above sea level. Dwarf birch forest and the grasslands dominate the landscapes here. But the most characteristic feature of these lands are numerous beautiful lakes. Especially from the bird's eye view, the lakes look great. The other areas not far away from Swedish border look quite similar. The landscapes are still represented by not very high mountains and specific not very diverse vegetation. The presence of numerous lakes is a result of the humid maritime climate and the presence of impermeable bedrock. On our way back to civilization, we meet not exactly wild animals. In the south of the country, reindeer are farm animals. We needed civilization to buy LPG. Then we could go back to the southeastern wild areas of Norway. When we are far away from the public roads in the middle of nowhere, I can have my driving lessons. Later, it's time to enjoy the contact with nature. In southeastern parts of Norway, the forests consist mainly of pine trees. These vast and often sparse forests are interspersed with rivers and lakes. The full beauty of these ecosystems can be admired from the above. These particular landscapes you can find in the vicinity of Tufsindalen village. It's time to go further back south. Now we need to find another LPG station. It's not a simple task, because LPG stations in Norway aren't easy to find. And without precise GPS coordinates, it might be impossible. This one, located in Trysil, is exceptionally well hidden. But at least you can wait yourself for free. It's getting late. Time to find a place for the night. We decided to try to get to a free Lishohimet hut near Lishoen village. Sadly, the road leading to the hut is paved, so we had to give up this idea. So we spent the night near cemetery. Chapter 24. The last day in Norway. In the morning, we woke up in a place called Traudskogen Chapel. It was the first time we spent the night at the cemetery. It's a strange feeling, but in southern Norway, there aren't many options for free nights. Today it's time to say goodbye to Norway, and time to head towards Sweden. It's probably the last time we see electric road sections under high voltage like this one, which I used to keep farm animals from running away. The more south we go, the more the landscapes resemble those of Central Europe. The agricultural lands are quite familiar to us. But typical Scandinavian sceneries are also frequent here. And of course, typical Norwegian buildings painted red. Okay, we're almost at the border, but no one said it's going to be easy to cross it. In the COVID season, only few biggest border crossings are open. We have to turn back to one of those. But finally, we made it. Goodbye, Norway. Chapter 25. Interesting places on the way home. Swedish highways on the way to Central Europe might be boring. Because there is a long way ahead of us, we decided to make some stops in a few quite nice places. One of them is Salte Island. Here you can find an archipelago of many small islands, but this place will be shown in detail in another video. Time for a quick dinner and let's go towards Denmark. But it's a long way, almost 500 kilometers. We've got to Malmö before dawn. And here we had to buy the most expensive LPG propane fuel in the whole Scandinavia. Prices for LPG in Sweden are very high. But in Denmark there are no LPG stations at all. Once again, we'll have to pay a fee for absurdly expensive Øresund Bridge from Sweden to Denmark. It's €49 if you buy a ticket online. After some time, there is another fee for Great Belt Bridge. This time it's about €35. After a very long journey, we need to find some nice place to rest. Some place like Ebely Island, near Linne village. It's an extraordinary island. You can get in kayak, or during the low tide, you can simply walk through the sea and follow the marked trail. The island offers beautiful sceneries, but more landscapes from this place can be found in another video. Time for a standard low-budget dinner. The last night of our journey we'll spend in the forest near Hale's village. Time to go home. Driving through Germany is very boring. Motorways are free, so we don't need to use local roads. But because of that, we'll miss all the local interesting places. Finally, after all day on the way, we got back to Poland.